Good morning, everyone. Thanks for joining us on the last day here of our on-air summit week for LX. Hopefully you found the webinar to date informative, and today we're going to close it out with going through our roadmap, where LX is heading. This is an abbreviated version of the roadmap, and if anybody wants more detail, you can contact me afterwards. But due to time constraints, this will be a much abbreviated version. We won't go into too much detail, but I think it will give you insight into where we're going. As well as we've also got, here's the presenter today. So, of course, myself, I'm the product manager for LX. Eric Ellsbury is one of our senior business solution consultants, and he will be going into our enterprise general ledger solution in more detail, just to give you some insight into that release that's coming because of the significance of it. And then we're fortunate enough to have Mike Breitbach with us here today, who's from IBM, and he'll be telling you or giving you information on the direction of the IBM hardware and operating system. So let's get started here. A little bit more detail about what we're going to do in the roadmap. So we want you to, this is to give you some insight into where we're going so you can plan for the future in accordance with what our plan is. So we'll just quickly go over the roadmap, as I mentioned. It'll be abbreviated because of time constraints, as I said. So the things we're really going to focus on here, and we go into more detail, a little bit more information about STTI, which is our serial track and trace for System I. That's going to be available here very shortly. Enterprise General Ledger, which I already mentioned, which will be covered by Eric. What we're going to be doing with future releases, and then, of course, our ION adoption and ION integration, and then we'll close it out with the IBM roadmap. So let's take a quick look at the LX roadmap. Of course, we always need to show a disclaimer here. In the event that sometimes legislative or regulatory changes come along and require us to switch some things around here, the timing may be different under certain circumstances, as much as we try to meet these dates. There sometimes are things that we cannot adhere to, so just to be aware of that. So this is covering, 2012, which we just closed out, 2013, and then beyond that, 2014, et cetera. So the things here with check marks have already been completed, and you're probably aware of some of them. We've covered some of them in prior presentations, as well as, in prior Inforum sessions and other programs. So hopefully you're aware of those. If you're not, please feel free to contact me, and we will go into more detail with those. But what's coming here, again, the serialization, you'll notice there's a check mark next to that. That's the STTI solution. That is completed development and is ready for release. We're just getting some final paperwork done on that, and that should be available here within the next few weeks. So that is a serial track and trace component. We'll show you a screenshot of that later on so you get an idea of what it looks like. The other thing we're spending a lot of time on is making sure our localizations are current. So, one of the major things we've been doing with LX is the globalization of the product so our customers can run a single instance locally. And for that to work, our local packs need to be available at the most recent release, and again, that's 8.3.4. So you'll notice back in 2012, we updated Brazil pack 8.3.4. We're doing the same with Argentina pack right now, which isn't on this list. Italy pack as well, we've added some things there. And now finally wrapping up our local packs with Japan pack this year, so that if you're running 8.3.4 globally, all your localizations are on 8.3.4 as well. EGLI, again, I'm not going to mention much of that right now because Eric will go into more detail about that. So continuing across the application development, which is new ones, of course, across the top. Another important thing here we're going to be doing is the next release, next feature pack release of LX, which will be 8.3.5. And some of the things that we'll be adding to it are listed there. We won't go into a lot of detail about those now, but those again will be coming out sometime late next year. And the important thing to note here is this will be the last feature pack within our 8.3.0 structure. So if you're on an older release and you're not familiar with what we did when we released 8.3.0, it was kind of a change in the way that we architect the solution. So when 8.3.0 was released, we looked to the future and said, what types of things do we need to do in the next 4 or 5 years in the next releases to ensure that our customers can upgrade without it being a major impact to them. So we designed 8.3.0 when it was released to have all the database changes that we could foresee in the near future to support those future releases and the additional enhancements our customers were requesting. So that's run its lifespan for the most part, and with 8.3.5, that will be the last feature pack within that 8.3.0 core that was released. So moving into the next full release, then when we release 8.4, we're going to follow that same methodology. It'll be the foundation for future feature pack releases. We'll design it so that it has the database changes needed to support future feature packs and continue the lifespan of 8.4 before we have to do another full release. And we found that to be very beneficial to our customers because when they upgrade, we had a number of customers that upgraded, let's say 8.3.2, and now are already at 8.3.4, which is important. We want you to be able to continue to evolve with us. We have a lot of enhancements that we're doing mid-release as well as with the new feature packs, and we want you to be able to take advantage of those. So we're architecting this in a way that we don't want people to be stuck on the old releases like they used to be in the past, that you're able to progress along with us in a very easy way going forward. So a couple other things here in 8.4 that we're considering. As I mentioned, it would be the foundation for future releases. And we're also looking at moving more development into IDF. If you're not familiar with IDF, it's something I recommend you get some information on. And I think most people are aware at this point, but we're going to continue to use it to develop new applications as well as perhaps move our master data maintenance into it for a number of reasons. It provides some functionality that we currently can't support in the architecture that we have. So it lets us create templates for default. So if you have, let's say, an item and you've got finished good items, raw material items, work in process items, you can have a template for those types of items that have predefined default, only contains the fields that you really need because, again, if you go into INV 100, there's hundreds of fields that you don't use. So this really kind of streamlines that master data maintenance process. Field level security, so now you can get very specific as to what fields certain people can use. And then you also have some trace history capability with it. So you can see who changed what fields on that master data, when they changed them, what it was before, what it was after. So there's some capability that we're going to get by moving that into an IDF framework that I think is for customers will find to be very beneficial. So that's where we're going from a functional standpoint. So, of course, I'd like to continue to evolve here with another feature pack, and then, as I mentioned, another full release at 8.4 beyond that. It would be feature packs to continue under that 8.4 architecture. And then on the bottom, we've got a technology and integration roadmap. So, of course, ION is a key thing for us, and we're going to continue to adopt ION solutions and integrations. So just this month, we're releasing our Infor reporting capability. So you saw a little bit of that in one of our webinars earlier this week, as well as Inforce and then Infor Business Intelligence, which will be in February. So those solutions are coming very soon, and they're part of the ION technology stack. And our messaging capability that we've been talking about, ION, lets us communicate into a business vault. And these solutions, specifically reporting and BI, work out of the business vault, and you can get to that reporting from your enterprise-wide, not just for LX, but if you've got other Infor solutions, they're publishing in that business vault, and that business intelligence and reporting can all come out of that single instance database. So the other thing we presented earlier this week was EAM, which is our enterprise asset management solution. We are uplifting that integration that we have today to an ION integration. So that's going to be coming here probably sometime mid this year. So that's look forward to. And then, of course, Workspace will continue to evolve. We'll add new workspace, the new workspace interface to LX once it's released. So you'll see that kind of some of the things we talked about earlier in the week, where some of the black is changing more to a white uprighter screen. You're going to see some of that evolve, and that'll be available for LX. We'll adopt that as it becomes available. Excuse me. We're going to continue to add additional BOD support. So with the LX 2.1 extension that we have coming out later this month to support reporting, Inforum, and business intelligence, that is a lot of outbound BOD support. We're going to continue to add more inbound BOD support separately later this year, so you have more capability for inbound transactions that you can use for third-party solutions or homegrown solutions. But those will also help us support some of the other integrations that you see coming down the line here as well, such as e-commerce. So that's a web ordering solution, which is a strategic solution for Infor, and we'll be adopting that. Don't have a time frame exactly on it yet, but here's what is under consideration. And we've decided that is really something we want to do. So we're going to move that to be a priority for us and try to get it done sometime this year. And then as we go beyond that, some of the other integrations that we're looking at through ION is through a configurator is something we think some of our customers are still in need of, as well as supplier exchange, advanced planning, and advanced scheduling. So those are the long-term integrations that we're looking at doing through ION. So I hope you find interest in those. So let's just take a quick look at one of these things that we have on the roadmap here, is serial track and trace. So this is just a screenshot here of our serial track and trace solution. And it was architected in IDF. So throughout the inventory processes, now you'll be prompted if an item is serial controlled to enter the serial numbers that are being received or issued, whether it's a purchase order receipt, a manufacturing receipt, or a raw material issue, finished good receipt finished good shipment to a customer. In those transactions, you'll be required to enter serial number if you've identified that item as serial controlled. That can be done through barcode as well. So obviously, there could be a lot of serial numbers, and you want to do something with a scanner to make it more efficient. That capability is there as well. But the important part then is once all that information is fed into LX, and you need to look at it or drill into it or get reports from it, we decided the IDF is the best way to do that, because if you're familiar with IDF, you understand how you can query into it, get all sorts of reports, navigate to related information. So we use that framework specifically for FTTI. As you can see here, you've got one of the capabilities that you have that you wouldn't have in a traditional green screen application or even in WebTop is this expand and collapse capability. So if we've got a multiple layer of a bill of material that has serial numbers embedded within it for a finished good, this gives you the ability to say, okay, here is the finished good item, expand and collapse that into seeing the lower level components and their serial numbers as well. So of course that really does help in understanding, trying to get information out of the system in a way that we wouldn't be able to do it in another user interface. So IDF is the right solution in the way to do this, and I think you'll find it, if you have a need for that, I think you'll find the solution very, very robust. So that's just a snapshot of that. The other thing we want to go in a little bit more detail of is EGLI, our Enterprise General Ledger Solution for System I. So I'm going to pass this to Eric Ellsbury, and he will continue with that.
Hi, this is Eric. Hopefully you can see the screen. I've been a consultant with on the LX prepaid products for the past 15, 20 years or so. So I've seen EGLI and all of its predecessors. Basically, EGLI is the CEA product that we've taken and enhanced and moved it into the IDF framework. And what's really nice about this is it gives us a lot more capabilities than we've ever had in CEA before. First off, look at some of the setup icons here, the setup screens. We've broken it into two different sections. There's the transactional section that you see here with financial events. This is like the old CEA 500. And also we have all of our setups over here under the codes. And you notice that some of the names are different. like financial calendars instead of periods or things like that. But underneath, it's the basic same CEA functionality, but with some enhancements. Again, we'll drill down here into the chart of accounts, and you can see the standard IDF here where we have the multiple charts and the descriptions. And if we were to click on like the corporate chart, it would take us down in and we can see what's in that chart of accounts. On the screen, you see some icons over on the right side, and this is where you can highlight and maintain these items or add to it. It's a really easy interface to use with the IDF framework. And some of the nice things in the IDF framework is it can then be dynamically linked throughout the rest of the LX product line. Some really cool things that we've done in the events world. If you recall the old CEA 500, you had to go in, you had to select whether you wanted to see posted events or approve events or void events. Well, what we've done is we've actually created one screen that has all the events on the screen with a status code over here on the right, and also an approval if it's necessary here on the right. So you can see everything that's out there in the system. And with this, you have the ability to subset or drill down into these and just take out the information that you want. So as an example, you could subset on unresolved and just see the unresolved issues. The other cool thing that we've got going here is that you can put items that you want to stand out in different colors. Here you'll see the unresolved in red. So when you're looking at like this screen, you'll see your unresolved, your errors, and they all stand out so you can actually see where those are. And once you can drill into this and I guess subset down the data so that you're only looking at specific dates or specific events, what's nice then is you can select multiple items, all of these unposted, for example, with the control and mouse click feature, just like in Windows, and then you can post all those at the same time. Rather than one at a time or ranges, you can actually be very selective in what you're doing. Once they're posted, then we really get into some of the neat stuff where we've rewritten some of the internal file structures, and we're actually able in the IDF framework to create what I like to call an online real-time working trial balance sheet here. What we've done is given you the ability to have some very quick views of your accounting data without having to go through a formal financial statement process. So on this screen, you can see we have our account strings, our opening balance, any kind of period data, debits and credits, and then an ending balance. So anytime we write journal entries, this screen, we can go and check it. We can rerun our trial balance in a matter of seconds. So the internals, the file structures where we had some real issues with balances and things like that in CEA, we have made those enhancements and have really brought this product a long way. It really gives us a great view of the data. What's nice on this screen is you can click on any one of these line items and you can see all the journal entries that make up that line item. You can then click into those journal entries and you can see the debits and credits. And if we've set up our analysis fields, we can link those analysis fields back into the subsystem. So from a working trial balance screen, I can drill into account analysis, I can see journal entries, I can take it all the way back to the source of the transaction, all on this without leaving the IDF screens. So really a lot of power, a lot of great information are going to be at your fingertips. Another great thing that we have with the use of IDF, and this is great for those of us who have to worry about the SOX, Sarbanes-Oxley's requirements. We now have object tracking within the IDF framework, where I can go out, and as you can see here, I've highlighted some of the financial objects. I can list objects or groups of objects that I want to track, meaning I can track, let's see if I can see it, I can track any changes to those objects. I know what changed, who changed it, when they changed it, and I can even tell what it used to be and what it became when that change was made. So this is a really great opportunity or a great feature in the product where we can now be compliant with SOX. We can track these objects, and it's all part of this great IDF format that we've moved this general ledger into. And I think that's okay. The other thing that we've created is the ability to do manual journal entries in a very easy format. As accountants, we love our Excel spreadsheets. We know how to use them. And so we decided to develop a way to upload manual journal entries using that format of Excel. On here, Excel is just this uploader is just an add-in to the Excel spreadsheet. This is a template. You can see our header information, and then our detail line information. And I believe it scrolls all the way to the right. So what we do is just add our journal entries into these templates. We can change the names of the different segments. You can see here segments all out here, but we can change their names. We can actually remove the segments that we're not going to be using if our chart of accounts is not 14 segments long. And then we just add in our journal entries. And what's really cool about these templates is I can save multiple versions of this template to save each of my manual journal entries that I might make at the end of each month. So just like we used to have the old photocopy versions of our journal entries, we now have them in Excel. We have them in a template that we open up. We change the amounts, make whatever minor adjustments to our account strings. And once we've done that, you can see here at the top with the add-ins, we just click the upload button, and it sends it to the AS400. Connecting is simple. Just password, host name, your environment. The IT guys can help you figure all that stuff out. It takes about 5 minutes to load this, connect, and write your first journal entry. Error correction is really, or error handling is really great on this product as well, because when you do tell it to go upload, it will come back and tell you if this first line here will be green if it transferred properly. If not, you're going to see a bunch of red, and it's going to tell you right here what your error is. You can also see errors on the line items, and it'll tell you more or less what your error is on your line items. Like here, debits do not match, which they don't. My debit was $1,000 for the line transaction. It was $1,357 for the book, so those don't match, and my journal entry is out of balance. So it's just really easy to use. It's easy to set up, and it's easy to send those manual journal entries up into the ledger. And so now I think it's back to Mike for the IBM.
Yeah, and while Mike's switching the PowerPoint over to him, I just want to comment. Yeah, one of the great things there, Eric, is I agree that connectivity is so much easier. In the past, with our old journal upload, it was very temperamental to get it configured and installed. And if you changed anything on a new PC, it was very difficult. And this obviously makes that a whole lot easier. Plus the fact that you're not cutting and pasting anymore. With the old one, you had to, if you wanted to take something from Excel, you had to copy it out of Excel and paste it into our journal upload. So this is great. Now you just have this one user interface.
It's all in one sheet. The first time I used it, I think it took me 10 minutes to load it, attach it, write a journal entry, and upload the first journal entry. It's just the easiest thing I've ever used.
Yeah, it's a great improvement. All right, so I think we'll pass this to Mike. You ready, Mike?
Yep, I'm ready. Thanks a lot.
Thank you. Thanks, Eric.
So as a brief introduction, so I'm in the IBMI Rochester Development Lab, and actually my development team here in Rochester has worked very closely with some of the large ISVs over a number of years. And our main goal and focus is to have a good relationship with those development teams to ensure we can, optimize their solutions specifically for the IBMI platform. We can keep in sync in terms of roadmaps, new feature function, not only that we're delivering in the operating system and in the power systems hardware, but also understand requirements from an application ISV standpoint in terms of things they want. Specifically, personally, I've been in this role of working that type of thing for probably 15 plus years, and for the first 5 years, it was specifically with what used to be the SSA VPIX team. So I have a long history with the LX application going back to days even prior to Infor, and really appreciate, David and the Infor team letting me come on here during these summit webinars and go through some of the stuff from an IBMI standpoint in terms of things we're doing and focusing on in terms of power systems and IBMI. If we pull up a high-level roadmap from an IBMI operating system roadmap standpoint, V5R4, you'll see there on the far left, the version of our operating system we finally did announce last year. And I say finally in the sense, those of us in development, obviously, focus on new OS releases, new feature function. So the sooner we can, give the message to our customers and give them feature function, hopefully that'll move them up, the better. And in some cases, I think you need to make that announcement that you're no longer going to support something to really get customers to move or get their interest. So we did announce end of support for V5R4 last year. That support will end in September of this year. And if we look forward, and 6.1 came out in 2008 timeframe, 7.1 came out in the 2010 timeframe. But one of the things we did in terms of major OS releases when 7.1 of the operating system came out in 2010 is based on customer and client feedback, how often we were coming out with major new operating system releases. The feedback was it's too often if you're coming out with those major OS releases every 2 years. It's a disruption for customers in terms of upgrading to a major OS release. At the same time, customers do want the ability to take advantage of new feature function. So one of the things we designed into the 7.1 version of the operating system was the concept of these technology refreshes. And when 7.1 came out, one of the major things that we did from an OS standpoint was, yep, we're coming out with 7.1. Customers can get to 7.1 version of the operating system every 6 months approximately since that release has been introduced. We come out with new technology refreshes, and those technology refreshes are a way that we can deliver new capabilities, new feature function, both hardware related. So in some cases, technology refreshes are ways that we supported things like PureFlex systems, Power 7 Plus systems, some of the things we'll talk through from a hardware standpoint. That's how we would support new hardware I/O adapters or technologies from that standpoint. But it's also ways that we introduce new capabilities from a virtualization standpoint within the system. So things like suspend resume of a system, live partition mobility that we'll talk about a little bit, VM control to capture and deploy systems. Database, DB2, which is a key part of our operating system and really a key differentiator and value that customers get from an IBMI standpoint. Every 6 months, database delivers significant enhancements and capabilities, not only in terms of new SQL standards or capabilities from a language standpoint, but performance enhancements, tooling enhancements in terms of tuning your system, things from a security standpoint. So again, those technology refreshes allow us to keep the database that's part of your operating system up to date in a non-disruptive manner. And then there's numerous other things and things we can do specifically, working with ISVs. I saw on that roadmap earlier when we were talking about LX, in 2012 as an example, they delivered the full independent ASP support. The good thing about having independent ASP support for LX means that some of our power system software products outside the operating system, like Power HA, that's a key building block for Power HA. It gets the Infor LX application fully in tuned and fully supportable for all the different Power HA scenarios. And there's a number of things we've delivered in technology refreshes around Power HA in terms of support for different types of storage and different storage mechanisms. They're supported in that Power HA scenario and feature function capability. So from an operating system standpoint, you saw 2012 came, we didn't have a major new OS release, and again, that was by design based on putting this technology refresh plan in place. I would expect we're well into development of our iNext OS release. It doesn't have an announced support date, but I would suggest, what I sort of tell people is if you look at that top thing up there, and I noticed 2012 is repeated twice in there, it should be 2011, 2012. If you followed that same spacing of years, you can probably come pretty close to guessing when that iNext OS release will come out. So although we haven't supported it or announced exactly when it's going to come out, you can take your guess in terms of when that's going to come out. But the key message, hopefully, we can get across from a roadmap standpoint is what you really want to do is get to 7.1 of the operating system. There's good value in terms of things we put in the operating system, we put in the database, and that we continue to put in through these technology refreshes. And that's really value to your customer, to you as a customer, if you can get to that OS release. I have a couple of technology refreshes just to highlight and give you an example. So technology refresh 4 came out in April-May timeframe of 2012. I talked a little bit about live partition mobility. So one of our key focus items in 2012, it'll continue to be in 2013, is what I would call advanced virtualization capabilities. It also gets referred to as cloud capabilities. But I think advanced virtualization is a better way to think of it. I mean, we've always had good support from an IBMI standpoint in terms of doing virtualization, partitions, micro partitions. When you start getting into advanced virtualization capability, that would include things like in Technology Refresh 2, we introduced the ability to suspend and resume an IBMI partition. So if you have an IBMI partition, if you suspend it, it's sort of like on your desktop PC, if you close the lid on your laptop, basically it suspends that work. You can take those hardware resources or do things within your system, make them available to something else, and then basically when you open that lid or you resume that IBMI partition, everything picks up and starts running from where it was without going through an IPL process. Live partition mobility, which was delivered in Technology Refresh 4, builds on that in terms of you can have a collection of systems tied to a virtualized SAN and network environment, and basically have a partition running on physical system or physical KEC A. You do a live partition mobility, it ends up running on physical system or KEC B, and the whole while that partition and all the applications, workloads running in that partition basically continue to run without any noticeable change and don't necessarily even notice the fact that it ends up running on a different system. Live partition mobility can be applied and used for things like consolidating your hardware environment, migrating to new hardware that you have in there. So as you have Power 7 and Power 7 Plus comes out and down the line, we're well on the way for Power 8 systems. You could have running workloads that can't afford any downtime running on your Power 7 Plus system and basically migrate over to a new Power 7 Plus or Power 8 system without taking that partition or workload down. Talked about the database enhancements, delivering, not only functional enhancements in terms of SQL things, but a lot of things from a security error monitoring standpoint. Application Runtime Expert is a tool that we provided as part of the operating system. It allows you really to define a setup of a well-tuned, well-working system. And your definition of a well-tuned, well-working system can be things like system values, authorities that you have on certain libraries, settings within an application. It can even be PTF levels. You can capture that well-running system definition as an XML template, and then over time, if you start to run into problems on systems within your environment, you basically send that XML template down to that new system that you have. It'll compare that system against your template, and in a graphical manner, it can basically tell you or flag for you what things are different, and in some cases, give you actually automated buttons to correct the system to make it match your best practices or your best implemented system. So we made enhancements in that as part of the technology refresh from a security standpoint. I talked about Power HA, which gets enabled by the independent ASP. So from a Power HA standpoint with technology refresh 4, we went down to new storage systems that are supported. So the E7000 or IBM storage store-wide systems and SAN volume controllers are now fully supported. It's more of a mid-market solution for customers versus the DS8000 or what I would consider more high-end storage type solution. And now you're even seeing in some of the late 2012 into 2013 even a focus on D3700. So even getting again that storage down so it applies to some of those virtualization SAN capabilities that can be extended to customers, not only in the mid-market, but down into some of the entry market also. If we look at Technology Refresh 5, which came out in October 2012, so just recently, again, more of some focus on, again, advanced virtualization, this time in the area of being able to, you have an IBM I partition with applications out there, you can capture those workloads into a library, and then it allows you to quickly provision and bring up new instances, new partitions of that workload, matching that which you've captured. So if I capture an IBM I partition, it's running 7.1 at a certain PTF level and has a certain set of applications out there. I can capture that into a repository, and then 2 months, 3 months down the line, if someone comes and says, I need a new IBM I environment with that given application, you basically can go to that repository, point to it, and say, deploy me a new partition. And it'll automatically go out to the system, carve out the partition, allocate the necessary resources, depending on what you said from a deploy standpoint. And that partition will be up and running without you doing an install with all the same code that was in your captured environment. And you can get that working with some of the flash copy, and depending what type of SAN you're using at that point in time, you can have a new partition up and running literally in a matter of minutes without going through a full install. So it really gives a lot of flexibility in terms of how you deploy and work with IBM workloads within your environment. From a software standpoint, we've had enhancements for installing and configuring some of the later versions of WebSphere, a GUI environment for not only installing the products initially, but also managing fixes. Java JDK 1.7 is supported by that WebSphere 8.5 environment. IBM I is one of the actual previous technology refreshes, but we have full support for JDK 1.7 as part of IBM I 7.1 version of the operating system. We offered some new capabilities in terms of a toolbox. If you want to work with our Java toolbox, JT Open, which is very popular for customers to get at IBM I native objects in their Java applications, we introduced a light version of that toolbox, specifically aimed at mobile application development. So some of those mobile Java environments can, again, work with IBM I native objects through the use of that JT Lite product. And then Power 7 models from a power system standpoint started rolling out as part of Technology Refresh 5. So from a hardware standpoint, if I look at power systems in 2012, in the first half of the year, we had our IBM Pure systems and Flex systems that came out that really combine in a single operating chassis both power workloads as well as x86 workloads, a lot of management tools and deployment tools, basically to manage that as a single environment and make it available. Infor is one of the key ISVs, and including the Infor LX team, that we've been piloting and rolling out some of that Pure Flex. As you expand your LX environment with things like Ion and some of those environments, Pure Flex can make a great system in terms of being able to combine both the power and the x86 workloads in that environment. Power 7 Plus, from a power standpoint, again, started coming out in the fourth quarter of 2012, and you're going to see a lot from a 2013 roadmap where you'll expect to see Power 7 Plus introduced across the entire product line. So the initial introduction was in the 770, 780 class, but you'll see it in more of those entry systems and the majority of the systems that we have here in early 2013. If we look a little bit about power chip technology and, again, Power 7 Plus technology that we had, the key thing I tell people, depending on what technology you're on, if you're on Power 5, you're on Power 6, why should Power 7 or Power 7 Plus interest me? What you see with Power 7 Plus typically is lots of cores on each chip. So Power 5 and Power 6, you were typically dealing with 2 cores per socket. In the case of Power 7 or 7 Plus, you're dealing with up to 8 cores per socket that we have in there. And even in some of the Power 7 Plus models, we have options where you can actually put 16 cores in an individual socket on a board. We can double stack some of those sockets with 2 Power 7 Plus chips in there. Clock speeds are in the 3 to about 4.5 gigahertz range as you get into Power 7 Plus. So not significantly faster if you compare it, in fact, slower from a clock speed. If you look at Power 6 and Power 6 Plus type technology, it's going to be significantly faster than Power 5. But the fact that you have so many more cores in there per socket, and then we double the number of threads we can run on each of those cores, the throughput from a Power 7 Plus standpoint over Power 6 is significant depending on the workloads. We've done testing here and seen anywhere from 50 to 80% improvement comparing back against Power 6 and Power 6 Plus systems that you can get from a workload standpoint. And a lot of that gets into the cache that's been integrated into the chip. The other thing that Power 7 really focuses on is energy optimization. So we have the ability, and you have the ability, to set preferences in terms of performance versus energy usage and energy savings. And essentially, you can create a profile that makes sense for your business, and we can throttle and turn off individual components within those Power 7 Plus chips. So if there's cache that's not being used, cores that aren't being used, other components in there, we can power those down, and you can run in a cost-optimized, energy-optimized environment. At the other end, if you really favor performance, you have the ability to monitor that chip automatically, and in those time periods where you're using lots of CPU, it'll actually dynamically overclock and run at up to 20% higher than what the clock speed is during certain peaks when you would use the performance over the energy savings. If I look forward in terms of 2013, 2015, our focuses really are within the IBM core operating system, but also these other 3 software products are important to understand in terms of Systems Director, Power HA, and Power VM. It's really those 4 products where we're investing our resources, working with ISVs in terms of how to take advantage of the capabilities in there. Within the core operating system, we work very close with Infor in terms of focusing on getting their solutions to run as well as possible on our system, and we invest in languages, database, other standards and currencies, and put the enhancements in there really that are important to those ISVs. At the same time, we want to continue to focus on systems management, high availability, and the virtualization and advanced virtualization capabilities, which are really delivered in those other products. So again, we'll see another major release of the operating system coming out. Not this year, early the following year. You'll continue to see from a 7.1 standpoint those technology refreshes. We basically have locked and loaded already our technology refresh 6 that's going to come out here right between the first and second quarter of 2013. And again, my message would be if you can get to 7.1, you're in a great position to take advantage of a lot of investment, a lot of new feature function for years to come from a support standpoint. The final couple charts here are, from a standpoint of staying informed from IBMI, there's lots of IBM sites, users groups, different places you can go from a blog standpoint. The Developer Works site there, if you go to Developer Works and search on IBMI, there has been about a Developer Works site for IBMI. That's our primary method of making technical information from our development team available outward to customers. You go to that Developer Works IBMI wiki that's out there. As these technology refreshes come out, for example, that's where all the details in terms of, all the database function that's in there, examples in terms of how to take advantage and use those types of things. And then from a blog standpoint, we have some of our, chief architects, Steve Will, as well as Don May, Mike Kane, Tim Rowe as examples. There's a lot of good blogs out there that get updated on a regular basis, certainly on a monthly basis, if not more frequently. Again, it's a good way to connect with the IBMI community and keep it up to date in terms of what's being done and what's being changed in the operating system. Now that we're in the mode with these technology refreshes, the fact is there's always new feature, new function that are coming out that you can take advantage of. I think at this point in time, do I need to pass control back to somebody, David?
Yeah, you can pass it to me, please.
Okay.
So thanks, Mike. I appreciate you coming on board today and going through the IBM roadmap with us. And, for the people on the phone, our partnership with IBM has never been stronger. We work very closely together, as Mike said, and we'll continue to do that. I mean, you see the investment here on the platform from an IBM perspective, is obviously very strong. And, with Inforum's reinvestment into LX and some of the things that we're doing, you're seeing that LX is being rejuvenated under the Infor portfolio. So we're excited about that, and I think you're going to see a lot more to come as we showed you the roadmap earlier. So let's quickly hear a couple things before we adjourn. Sorry, just a second. So as far as, this week, thank you again for attending the on-air WebEx. Again, this is the last day of the on-air sessions. Here's some contact information in case you need it. Garth Weber can be contacted for obtaining demos for any of the products that you've seen today. And then again, myself, if you've got questions about the roadmap, please feel free to contact me. My email address is listed below there. And then a little bit more about Inforum. I know we've kind of had that on some of our closing sessions slides throughout the week, and a little bit more about what's happening with Inforum and reasons why you should attend. Again, this is in April. We've got discounted rates through February 16th, so there's some information on that. And specifically for LX, we've got 30 tracks through 2 sessions. So there'll be a lot of sessions showing some of the products we saw here today in much more detail, the roadmap in much more detail, a lot more information, obviously, than we were able to share with you this week, and we go into a lot more detail. We're also going to have Academy sessions, which is a chance to sit down and actually get training on some solutions that we have and some of the things coming out in the future. One of them specifically how to migrate from CEA to EGLI. So there'll be a lot of great opportunities to get some hands-on training. There'll be a lot LX kiosks, so you get a closer look at our latest applications. Of course, we'll be covering some of those applications in formal sessions, but then this is a chance at the kiosk to just kind of go have some one-on-one time with somebody that has this running on a desktop, and you can have you navigate through some of our applications and ask questions about it. Speaking of which, one time with is one of the great things you get out of this is that with over lunch or having coffee with some of our developers or analysts and consultants, where you can really gain some insight into our applications. Our analysts are always involved with these things and are there to have that dialogue with, and it's a great way to kind of get some insight that you may not otherwise get. It's also a great opportunity to meet with your peers. So this is a chance to meet other people that have upgraded from BPIX to LX and have some of our other expansion solutions and share ideas and experiences, and a great way to understand what's happening, how they're using the software in their business and share ideas. The other thing we have is industry sessions. These became a little bit more of a focus last Inforum, but even more going forward. So there'll be industry-specific sessions outside of the LX sessions. These are, food and beverage, or whether, that's just an example, where you'll have people that are industry experts within Infor share what's happening with the industry, the direction, some of the new things, new regulatory requirements, or whatever it may be for those industries, and talk about solutions that Infor has for those specific industries. And then, of course, it's just, one-stop shopping, a chance to see everything that Infor has to offer to solve your business needs. So, the great thing is if you're running LX and you have an interest in some of, you need maybe looking at an e-commerce solution, you need a web portal, or if you need some warehousing solution or whatever it may be, a good chance to sit down and attend some of those sessions for those products, and also, go to those kiosks and understand what those products are about. So it's a great opportunity to really to collaborate with peers, Infor people, and see all the products that Infor has to offer. So I hope you have an opportunity to attend that.